All right. Welcome to BraveMaker Mastermind. This is Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And this is going on our fifth or sixth month now. So thanks for being here, everybody. Today is going to be a day where we do some practice and mock general meetings. If you're not familiar with that word, that is a very common type of experience in Hollywood and the entertainment industry where you meet with an executive or a producer or a financier, and the general is in quotes, meaning it's not necessarily for a specific project. It can be, you can talk about your specific projects, but it is really a kind of get to know you meeting with somebody from a studio or network, or obviously we're all independent people, so it could just be a general meeting because you met somebody at a mixer, i.e. the mixer we have on a Friday night in Redwood City for Coffee Bar, or at Coffee Bar, which remember you get in for free. Welcome, Dashel. So yeah, we'll do a mock version of those things today. So that is really good practice for us. And you had no preparation whatsoever. So you're just finding about that right now, which is kind of typical. Some things will happen, right? On the go, or you meet somebody or link up in the lobby of an audition, and then all of a sudden you're going out to coffee or something afterwards. So these are really good ways for us to get practice being ourselves, talking about our project. And I will say after this, if you have not, some of you are newer to Mastermind, if you've not watched one of our very first Mastermind videos by Tristan Schuler, Tristan does a really great job talking about developing your personal brand and your personal log line. And I won't always do things like this where I go deep down into every language or Hollywood term, but a log line is what is usually referred to as what a script is about. It's a 1 to 2 sentence summary of the character, the problem that is being solved, the antagonist, etc. And in industry meetings, people will often talk about, which you don't say this out loud, my brand is, but it's really important to know who you are. Olga last week, I'll just kind of call Olga out in regards to the social media stuff, her brand about being a morbid optimist, that's in her bio of her Instagram. All that kind of stuff is really important as you are developing your work, your niche, your audience, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so before we jump into these mock general meetings, I would love to have people just real quick, if you want to share anything from last week. I saw some changes in some people's Instagrams, which is really fun. I would love to hear if there was any kind of win, something that really has gone good for you this week that you want to celebrate, that you're happy about, achieving goals, any kind of report. So let's just I'm going to look at the clock. 10 minutes. So by Pacific Standard Time at 10:15, we'll start our general meetings. Okay. So feel free. You don't have to share if you don't want, but go ahead and unmute and give us a little report or update or anything that you want to share about that. That would be fantastic.
Well, I'll go. I had an opportunity to have a really good movie producer give me notes, and so she read my screenplay. Kim Zubik. She did a bunch of movies. One of them was The Zookeeper's Wife, which she said it took her 10 years
Wow.
to make that movie. And she was talking about on this. I'm in another support group with Lee Jessup, and she was talking about how you got to not give up because it's like there's one roadblock after another after another. She's a producer, so she's like, get this screen play, and then you got to get actors, and you got to get funding. And she said things go wrong with all of those things, and she said she just was really committed to the movie, and then she had to have a whole bunch of animals trained for this movie. It's a pretty amazing movie if you haven't seen it. Heart wrenching. But anyway, she can look at any kind of movie, and mine is a R-rated rom-com, and she really liked it. She gave me like notes that are making me like do all these revisions, but it made me think a lot, and so I've been doing table reads with actors that I've met,
Nice.
and to see if they get what I was trying to say,
Yeah.
to make sure that I was, not just assuming that they got it. So I did one right before this. I did another one a couple days ago, and I've got a bunch more actors lined up to do this, and it's just been great. And they all say that they're getting something out of it too, because they like it when I can change the screenplay right on the spot to make, and they realize, wow, that helps when I really can see clearly what's supposed to be going on. So that's been
great,
good.
Marion.
And then I also made a semifinal of a pitch, so I've got to make a video today and send it in for 3 minutes. So I might have to practice a little pitching when we're on here.
Yeah, that's great. You can definitely practice. You should definitely use this role play thing to do that. That's great, Marion.
And the Moth also sent me the video of me doing the Moth in San Francisco and Comebacks, which is basically what my movie was based on. So that was fun. I sent that out to a bunch of producers and managers who have my screenplay already to remind them of me.
Good. All those little wins, and I know we've talked about this on here before. We're going to do a couple table reads, Tamika being one of them, so we can hear how a script comes to life and see how actors engage with it and give notes. Those are super huge, and I think that's building your relationships too and building your brand. And when actors are reading your script, even if you don't cast them, and you should always never promise and always even overstate, this is just a table read. This is not giving anybody or promising anybody a role in the film, but I would love to have your input. Those actors will feel invested in some way. Even if they don't get a role, they will feel invested to watch the progress of that. So that's great. Okay, cool. So anybody else want to share a update? Go ahead, Belgica.
One of the first short films I ever produced, called Pizza Monster, was at the New York Film Festival, and Latino New York Film Festival this weekend, and we got honorable mention for best comedic short, which is incredible because this is the first project that me and that collaborator made where we raised money. So the fact that like the first one went so well, I'm just so excited to continue collaborating with him because he's another like first gen Mexican. I consider myself first gen because I came here really young. And then the social media thing. Last week, I am such a social media girl, but having Leah look at my Instagram made me realize that I broke up with Instagram and then got back together. It's like a love-hate relationship. And she made me realize when we got back together, I didn't really look at myself enough, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So now I am much more proud of it, and it really says who I am a lot better.
Yeah, awesome. That was so great last week working with her. I'm doing something with her today. We just decided afterwards, like I'm going to pay her to do a session with me on impressions just for fun. I'm like, why not? Let's just have some fun. We'll record it and then we can use that for some social media content. Like this awesome impressionist teaching a guy who's not an awesome impressionist how to do impressions. So yeah, I'm really glad that we had her. Yeah, and feel free, remember, put your URLs in the chat so that we can make sure we're following each other and supporting each other along the way. Thank you, Balika. Anybody else? Go ahead and just unmute, say what you got. I'm gonna put my URL so you can see. Just as a reminder, when you look in the chat, right, if you just put your @ symbol with your name, you can't click it through, but if you click the whole URL, people can click through right into the chat. Okay, I'll show you. This is an old school thing that I did, but I know Canva just has this ability now, and I haven't done one in Canva yet, but I will. The click through kind of PDF things that you can do. I used this thing called Flip Snack before, but I'm gonna change it. But this is one of the feature films that I did that I'm working on right now. It's called The Thorns We Live With. I love my tagline is bloom where you're pricked, and the idea that the planted is kind of scratched out. It is a family dramedy about reluctantly coming together at Thanksgiving, a kind of upscale, wealthy landscaping family, only to discover their grandmother has overdosed and they have to get to the bottom of it over the course of Thanksgiving. Did she do it on purpose or was it accidental? And I have been trying to get this made since before pandemic. I really love this story. It's personal to me. Kind of doing my general meeting right now because of my grandmother who died by suicide. And I have been redoing some rewriting, right? So I wanted to share just as a couple quick little fun update. The Thorns We Live With is kind of a mouthful. It's like, what is that about? I really like the tagline, but just, what is it? Today's Monday. So just Saturday night, I was doing a rewrite on it. And all of a sudden it hit me. And those of you who are writers and producers will understand this. Titles are so important. And The Thorns We Live With I've been getting coverage. We did a table read multiple times. I put it on the blacklist, all these things. Finally, I was like, you know what? I think it needs a title change. So I just changed the title and I feel this whole sense of renewal around it. The new title is called Family Pricks. That's the new title, Family Pricks. And I feel like it's a little provocative, you know what I mean? It's a little shorter, a little quippier. The idea that pricks has this kind of double, meaning. I just felt like all of a sudden, and I even changed the ending, and I feel this renewed vigor to get it out there and share it and see what happens. So I just share that as a result of, obviously my reporting, but rethinking a project that's not moving forward could be a little simple change, like a title, just changing the title, changing your artwork and your imagery. So now my next step is to take all this old stuff from this PDF that I made and put it into Canva and recreate it. So I'm excited about that. Thank you, Tamika. Anybody else want to share an update or a win, something you want to celebrate, something you're proud about? Go ahead, Stacey, then Tamika.
Hey everyone. I don't know why George is quiet because he was at his film was at 2 festivals over the weekend. But anyway, congrats.
Way to call somebody else out to affirm them. I love that.
Yeah, so I'm excited because I'm gonna be filming with children, and I know some people don't get permits, but I am. I have a lot of children that will be in the film, and so I went through the state of California to get my permit. So I am so excited, like, even if nobody else like cares in the world, like I'm just excited to have gotten it done. And then also to get the permit, I had to get workers' compensation insurance. Not fun, but it will help me with securing my school locations because unfortunately with LA, it's crazy to get permits. So at least I have workers' compensation already and will help the process. So
can you share about how much the workers' comp is? I know Gwen, who's not here, was just looking into that for Ransom, her short she's doing. What did you discover?
I paid 600.
Oh, from where? That's great.
State fund. It's
Okay.
on the California Department of Industrial Relations website as not that they recommend it, but it's one of California. It's in California's nonprofit.
Yes.
Yes, for workers' comp. And I know someone else who is paying a lot more, and I don't know if it's because of the budget that I put in, probably, and all these other factors they had me do, and then I was able to email the guy and give him corrections. So yeah, but I know someone else who's paying 600 a month.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I think he has a lot more. He does have a lot more productions than me. So yeah, I don't know his story, but
cool. Thanks, Stacey. That's good.
I've used them before. That's a good price, though. Yeah.
And yours is this the short or the feature version, Stacey?
this is the feature, but I have the permit for a year.
Great.
So the 600's for the year. So it's a trilogy of films that I'll be able to complete.
Dang, that's great. Congrats. Okay, cool. Tamika, last one, and then we'll go into our role play general meetings.
Sorry, I'm in a hotel lobby. I can barely hear. They
Oh,
got
no.
music playing. Well, it was great to see George. I saw him in Cincinnati. We had fun at that festival. Yay, George! He was nominated. His film was nominated in the best film category. I am in New York now. I just finished the Imagine This Women's International Film Festival. Really lovely, and we won Best Short Film, which I'm super excited about.
Hey, not surprising.
It surprised me. So and then I'll be back in about a week for the Gotham Market because I've expanded the script into a feature. So we're in their shorts to features program, and we get to meet some people who maybe might be interested. We'll see. And that's kind of where we are. So I'm still enjoying my Cinderella journey with the film.
It's really cool to watch. Congratulations. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's amazing. And we're so excited that we get to see the journey and be a little part of it along the way. That's what's beautiful about the hope I have for our collaborative connections through BraveMaker is, how we can intersect and help and support. And, 2, 3, 4 years when that feature is done, Tamika, you got a place at BraveMaker, that. So well, good.
Well, thank you. Oh, I also just want to say, and I'm screening in my hometown. How could I forget that? I'm screening in my hometown.
Oh, in New York?
This week is in Richmond,
Oh,
Virginia.
okay. Got it. Cool. Right on. Awesome. This thing is got
I'm
legs.
about to fly. Yeah, that's why I'm in the lobby. I had to check out, but I'm about to fly to Richmond in an hour.
Right on. Congrats.
Thanks,
Tamika. All right. Dashiell, go for it. Last one. What you got, buddy?
Okay, so what I did filmmaking by the Bay, where I met Veronica again, and I also ran into Elena. And it was a lot of fun. It was a murder story. I was the murderer's son, and my character was the complete know-it-all, what boy's up to and stuff. It was just a lot of fun.
That's so cool. That's the making the film in a weekend kind of thing or a day. Yeah, that's so cool. That was great. And we got to have Dashiell on our Academy set on Wednesday as well. So cool. You're getting around, Dashiell. And I was driving in San Francisco yesterday and saw your billboard at the train station. I was like, oh, I needed to come next week when I drive through. I'm gonna take a picture for you. It's right by Stonestown Galleria. Yeah, very cool. So congrats. All
What
right.
does the billboard say?
What does the billboard say, Dashiell? You wanna share? I think you have a photo of it too on your Insta I can show.
So it's it's sure I talk funny. How else would I make my team laugh? It's for Special Olympics Northern California.
I found it. I'll show so everybody can see it. This is one of many. So this is all over the place. It's so cool. I saw the poster version, like the vertical version of this, right across from Stonestown Galleria. That's great. All right, who would like to volunteer to be a interviewee? So somebody who you're going to get 8 minutes, and then we will also have volunteers, people who want to be executives, people who are going to ask questions and that kind of thing. So how about who would like to first be an interviewee or somebody talking about themselves for a general meeting? Anybody?
I mean, I talk about myself all the time, so if nobody wants to do it, okay, George, you do it.
George, are you volunteering to be an interviewee or an interviewer?
I can be an interviewee since I've been mentioned twice by Stacy and Tamika. So it's my time to talk.
Okay, good. Well, why don't we'll start with this. We'll do Belhika and George. We'll each have you do each other. So
cool.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna encourage you to use your own phone to time yourself as well. But I will kind of give you, if I see you going beyond, I'll just say, wrap it up in 30 if you get kind of caught up. But just real quick, high level, if you're an interviewee, the idea is you have been taken out by, or you're meeting on Zoom, because people do a lot of these on Zooms, just to get to know somebody. This person who's the interviewer is a producer or an executive or someone who has the means to potentially partner with you in some way. So there's no parameters around this. It's just about how you comfortably engage with talking about yourself. And then we could all give some encouragement or feedback or considerations for how you could do that better for next time. Really simple. Okay.
So I have a question. Can
Yeah.
me and George talk like I've done this before, where I Zoom somebody. Could we do it like really getting to know each other as if we met
Yes.
and now
Totally.
learn about each other? Okay.
Yeah. So I'll pin you both together and we'll give you 8 minutes. Okay. And why 8 minutes? 8 minutes is what a lot of these companies do for these kind of quick meetings before they go into longer. Like what I hear people talk about, like there's the 20-minute version, the 30-minute version, the 60-minute version. But like Roadmap Writer, Stage 32, they have these pitch meetings that are 8 minutes long, and they talk about being able to share about yourself or your project for a few of those minutes and then do some question and response time for a few of those minutes. But they also say some people talk the whole 8 minutes and then the executive's like, okay, cool, thanks, bye. And then you're done, So it is, again, there's no right way to do these things, but if you have 8 minutes, you got to find a way to share, be comfortable, not talk the whole time, engage in question and response. And maybe even George is the interviewee, tip, ask a question of your interviewer. Like I had a a guy that I did this with Roadmap on Saturday, and at the very end, he's like, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I was like, "Of course I have questions for you. I noticed you're really into multicam sitcoms. Can you tell me about what you're looking for?" Boom. It was really cool, right? So that kind of stuff. All right, here we go. I'm going to pin you, and then you'll have your 8 minutes. Stand by, Belgica. I also want to say, and action. All right, there you go.
Oh, okay. You'll make me nervous.
When you're ready, go ahead.
Oh, hi, George.
Hi, Belgica. How are you?
Good. How are you?
To be honest, I'm tired.
Oh no. Well,
I just flew back home from Chicago, from Cincinnati, and I'm a little exhausted, but I'm here. I'm present.
I saw on Instagram. I was very excited for you. So tell me more about you because we're in this like mastermind class or group, but I don't know that much about you, and I would love to find out how we can maybe work together, get you on my YouTube channel or have you come to the Bay Area to some film event. It would be so much fun.
Yeah, sure. I think our experiences align or are very similar. I started off as an actor, so I got my MFA, well, not my MFA, my BA in English and theater. So I started acting in Chicago. I had the agent. I did the whole thing for about 5 years. That was pretty okay. But then I decided the roles were very stagnant and very like polarizing. Either it was like whitewashed black kid from the suburbs or gangster number 17.
Yeah.
And I didn't really feel like I was either of those. And so I decided to start screenwriting, and it started off really bad. And making
It
short
always
films.
does.
Yeah, but we started making short films. I reached out to directors in Chicago who were like further along in their career for mentorship, and I decided to start directing. So 2017, I made my first short film called Division, and that's what got me into DePaul's MFA directing program, and now I'm a director in the city. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me about the project that you were at the film festival for.
Yeah, so the short that I was presenting was Cottage Grove. It was my MFA thesis from DePaul. And Cottage Grove was inspired by a moment I had with my own dad. But it's essentially about a young Black man trying to stay true to himself while communicating with his stroke-afflicted father. So it's one location in a parking lot on the south side of Chicago.
It was at the BraveMaker Film Festival.
It was.
I saw it. It was beautifully shot.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to bring it to BraveMaker, and we just showcased, and people really liked it. They connected with it, and above making like something semi-personal, the theme of it is like getting an apology from a parent, and it always baffles me, it baffles me how people from different identities and perspectives connect with the story, because we all have parent wounds in some way. And I'm glad that film is facilitating healing in some way. So yeah, that was a long answer, but yeah, that's a little bit about me too.
I can't believe that I watched it and what's the name of that short? It's called Cottage Grove.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I follow you on Instagram. I watched it. That's so funny that I didn't realize that was you. So how can I help you? Like, what can we possibly work together? And I have a YouTube channel, a little bit
know.
following.
I follow it.
Oh,
I do.
okay, so one of the things that I love to do, and hopefully my channel will grow so that I can give more through the people that follow me, like give you more exposure, is that
Sure.
once in a while I like to make videos with other people or vlogs or talk about their films, so that just more people find out about it. So I don't know, maybe next time you're in the Bay or I'll have to fly to Chicago, we can do something together, whether it be just like chatting about filmmaking or your next film, or
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to audition for you.
I
No,
think we can I think collaborating with people from different states is like something I'm interested in. So like right now, first thing that comes to mind is I'm developing a feature, and it's called All Good, and it's in the similar vein of Cottage Grove that focuses on like Black masculinity, emotions, and family essentially. So I would love to like talk to you about how independent filmmakers, develop projects. What it's like, the pitfalls, the successes, because I'm figuring it out. I'm making a feature on my own. But I think, yeah, talking it with you, or figuring we can share notes about being producers or even collaborating across states will be really interesting for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Definitely, learning along the way. Like I've said since the beginning that I'm trying out producing because I don't know if it's for me. And it's just been so emotional for me. Like feeling the weight of people's happiness and well-being, because I'm the producer. I'm the reason that most people on, let's say, Bernadette the Brave even signed up because they followed my YouTube channel or Instagram or whatever. And they're like, I want to get involved. So now I just feel so much pressure that like, oh wait, I'm the boss,
I get that. I wonder, like, with how, because I follow Bernadette the Brave and I saw Pizza Monster, and it's super cool that you're putting your like perspective and resources behind these projects that are like under resourced or not exposed to a lot of people. So like it gave me a question like, what are your values as a producer? Where do you see your work going in the future? Not only just an actor, but in front of the camera, but behind as well.
Yeah, so as a producer, I have a strong feeling that after I wrap these projects, I'm gonna put a 10-year pause to it because I don't think I'm emotionally like mature or strong enough to be in this position, just because like I will cry when somebody is just like one little thing happens and I just feel so much pressure of like, oh no, what if they have a terrible experience? What if this is a reason why they quit filmmaking? What if, so that's I think called anxiety. And I have an appointment with a therapist, which hopefully that'll help me with. But as far as like my values, I really just want to tell stories that are inspirational or healing or fun, happy. Like the reason why I became a filmmaker, actor, originally became an actor for all the wrong reasons as we do as children,
Sure.
But then once I like realized that it's like my way of being a doctor, because doctors heal. And I was like, well, I want to heal people in different ways, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes.
But as like an actor or like creative artist in general, I really want to bring happiness to people and make sure that the environment is good, that we are putting people before schedules. We're putting people before money. Like you were saying, we have very little budget in all the films that I've produced so far. And I really want to advocate for having things like food and listening to people and not being like, oh, they're just being whiny or they just don't understand. Like,
Sure.
So just making sure people have a good time, because I am such an extrovert and I love humans so much. Like even if they don't like me back, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry that I'm not your flavor, but I still will support you and want the best for you.
Yeah.
So all that to say is that I have a lot of anxiety and I love people.
I think we all have stuff, but we can all bring that to our filmmaking process so we can make our sets, our projects more equitable for everyone else. So I think you first acknowledging that is great. I put it into your work. I put it into my work. Like All Good was about me breaking up with my first love and how I didn't deal with those emotions. So I was like, I dealt with it in a bad way. I was partying, I was drinking, I did a lot of bad things until I went to therapy and recognized that I needed to unpack those emotions. And so that story that I'm exploring is about how Black older men specifically don't have that space and run away from those feelings. And so, a lot of men. So we use our own experiences for our work. So I thank you for sharing that because I think we align creatively and value wise. Yeah.
Great. Well, then we'll have to keep chatting.
Oh my gosh, that was phenomenal. That was a little over 8 minutes, 9 minutes, but I let you go because so everybody use the chat. What did you hear? What things worked well? What did you see in transitions and questions and responses? I want to affirm, like I heard so many really good and poignant questions from you two. I heard transparency and vulnerability. Belhika just starting out with some really good questions, and then the reality of going, wait, I saw that. Like you didn't have to fake in anything. And there's going to be real experiences where someone you follow on YouTube or whatever, you're just like, wait, I'm making these connections that I didn't do before. And we obviously threw you in this situation. You would have done the research before, you would have known, right? But here it's like, oh, these things are coming. And I like, at one point you just put your hands on your face, and I just thought, I leaned in because I'm like, oh, Belgica's such a real person, and I love that. And then that was like the theme of your producerial story was person who wants to put people before profits. You didn't say profits, but you know, but that's what I really felt. George, you did a fantastic job transitioning into talking about your feature film, which I thought was awesome. Like, to naturally bring up what you're doing, to segue into, I want to make sure, even though this is a quote unquote general meeting, this person knows I'm about to make a feature. I'm working on my feature. I had a short. I'm doing this. I came from a film festival. All really great things that I just noted down for both of you. And then the Bernadette, you bringing that in, you talking personally about your film, Belgica. And then obviously George going back, I follow this. Like, these are the things that make a really good meeting, where someone, I have experience and you all have too, someone goes into a meeting, they know nothing about a person, and it feels like it's really hard to start. And I go, if this person just had 5 minutes or 10 minutes of knowledge about me, it would be such a different conversation. You both came with that already. Even though, Belgica, you started off with saying, hey, we're in the same group, I want to get to know you better. You had enough knowledge that it made little more than 8 minutes, 9 minutes barely, engaging conversation. So I wanted to give you all of that stuff. Dashiell says, I can tell genuine interest between them. Olga said this was the realest general meeting in some cases. Oh, sorry, I just went. They're one-sided and feel like a rehearsed interview in some cases. Yes, this felt very, very real. Yeah, really, really well done.
Can I ask a question? Has anyone ever had such a great general meeting like what you guys just did, of the two of you? Or is this like something you've done before?
I do this all the time with people that I meet, and I've only had one that wasn't good, because I was giving them my time and they were basically like, I don't know. And I was like, wait, you contacted me and now you're saying I'm not good enough? Okay, see you later. But everything else has been like really nice.
I would also say you two had good back and forth, and Kelly says, love the back and forth vulnerability. Vulnerability creates connection. When you only have a short amount of time, if one person is talking a lot, that's a super huge turnoff. I'll just say, constructively, George, at one point you said, I know that was a long response. It might have felt like a long response, but it really wasn't.
No.
To me, in some way, that's a good gauge. You're aware. So many people are not aware of talking too much. So I would say you probably don't have to say those kind of things, but be aware of them internally, because I didn't think it was a long response whatsoever. I don't know if you felt that, Belgica, but
no, I didn't.
Right? You didn't. So in a short amount of time, if you're feeling like you're talking too much, then go ahead and bring it to a close, wrap it up, and help have the next person, say something by asking them a question. Because that's where I go a lot of these meetings, and you all have been there. You get to a face-to-face conversation with somebody who could care less about you. They just want to talk about themselves. And this is where a meeting goes to die, right? And Belgica, I think you were just sharing that. So being interested, in the word curious comes to mind. Tell me about you. How could I link what you're doing? Belgica even said, how could I help you? Like, hello, that's awesome, right? And then, George, you've obviously following her YouTube page. It just made for like a really instant connection. So, kudos, well done. Kelly also says, I love that each of you did not throw too many projects into it. Yes, if you're working on too many projects, it's like, I have 7 films, 3 shorts, 2. It's like, no, just try to focus on one, So anything you took away or would like to, do better next time for yourself?
I take that constructive note, Tony. Sometimes I like over edit myself while I'm talking, so I'll take that. But I'm like, Belgica, let's like work together. Like, I don't know how this is gonna work over Zoom, but I'm totally down on trying to I'm totally open to us working together on this feature in some way. So yeah.
I'm in Chicago all the time because I'm there for like an hour, because that's my layover to the East Coast when I go to the East Coast once a year.
Longer
cool.
layover.
I mean, we can do a Zoom or, during a layover. We'll figure it out.
For sure. So for me, I think one thing that I usually do is I usually come up with at least one thing that we could do together. For YouTube, it's pretty easy because we could do like a Zoom which isn't as interesting visually, but that's definitely something that I usually think of, like, what can we do? Let's do a giveaway. Let's meet at BraveMaker Film Festival, July 10th through the 13th, 2025. Get your tickets.
I also think it was, I forget if it was you, Belhika, or George, I don't know, but you were aware of the time where it was like, okay, it's time to wrap up. Awesome. Very, very good at going, okay, the time has come to a close. So let's keep thinking, Belhika, let's keep chatting or whatever. Let's work on something. Those things too, people who are aware of knowing, not even like, okay, the conversation is dying, but sometimes less is better, right? If someone says to me, can I get an hour of your time? I'm like, oh my gosh, an hour is such a long time. Let's take 15 minutes to do an intro Zoom. Give just an appetizer and tease somebody in a good way to want more from you. That is a good call. If they're like, yeah, let's meet up again. Let's do lunch next time, or let's do coffee, or let's do an hour Zoom. And I'd love to do, share some of my script with you. Finding a way to close that conversation, even when you're in person, for instance, on Friday at the mixer, if someone is monopolizing a time, I feel like a little rat in a cage. I'm like, get me out of here. I think it's really important for me as an extrovert, or when I'm in a mixer, to tell someone this was really cool. Like, we should definitely connect again. Here's my Instagram. I'm gonna go meet some other people right now because it's a mixer, and I want to make sure I have a goal today to meet 5 new people and get 5 contacts or something like that. So in this meeting, I thought that was really good too. You were aware at the time, so kudos. All right, who's up next? We need 2 people. How about Marion? Oops, did I just? I think I might have just removed George from the thing. Come back in, George. Where are you? Let's remove the pin, and I'm gonna bring in Marion. I don't know if I have George's cell phone. I hope he finds the link again and comes back in. Who would like to work with Marion? Marion wants to work on her pitch.
I can do that 3-minute pitch. And so I think if I could pitch and then have you be the producer and
well, that's perfect because Kelly is a producer. So
that sounds great. And so if she lets me do the pitch, because I have to record it. Yeah. And I keep changing it, so it's not going to be smooth, but I did the mock.
Don't worry, don't censor yourself. This is just practice.
I was so smooth then, and all of a sudden I'm like, my pitch has to be as good as that. And I'm like, oh God, now I've got pressure on again. So anyway, so it's nice to meet you, Kelly. And thank you for being interested in my project. My name is Marion Wymore. I'm from San Francisco, and I'm a family doctor who doesn't just love comedy. I believe in it. I used to actually prescribe comedies to my patients to help them heal. So it was just natural for me to turn to comedy during the worst times of my own life. And Date Like a Man is my feature rom-com that's based on my own personal experiences of being a born-again cougar and screenwriter after I recovered from a very painful divorce of being married for 30 years and thinking I had the perfect life, until I found out my husband had been cheating on me the whole time. And to say I was devastated is an understatement. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I realized that I was totally committed to make up for lost time and avoid falling in love again. So I decided to sign up for online dating. And I was surprised by the number of guys in their 30s that were hitting on me. And so anyway, I transformed my entire life. And after finding her husband straddled by a waitress, a divorcee decides she's going to make up for lost time and avoid love by dating younger men online and discovering a new sex-positive life. So Diana is a 55-year-old cultural anthropology professor at UCLA. And after she discovers her husband cheating, she realizes that she can't just try to please a man again. Like, she can't just live her whole life trying to make him happy, because it didn't work. They wound up getting divorced. So afterwards, she thought, well, you know what? My husband said it was just sex, and I'm going to date like a man from now on. I don't want to get hurt again. And the way she's going to do it is she is going to limit her relationships to 3 days and date only much younger men, because then she's going to be immune from falling in love. Well, of course, the first guy she has sex with, she falls for, and she decides she's going to drown him out with a series of other lovers. So she goes on a rampage of learning about sex positivity and teaching it in her classroom. And all these young people are raising their hand. They're so honest. They're, oh, I'm bisexual. I came out when I was 13, or I'm polyamorous, or I'm in an open marriage, or I rock double XL lingerie, and I'm exhibitionistic, and I'm having the time of my life. And she's just so impressed with their honesty. So maybe I should just be honest, be myself, like admit it to myself first, and then admit it to the people I'm dating. Like, and then, well, who cares? It's 3 days, and I'm just gonna let go. So little by little, she gets more and more honest with herself. And each person she dates, she's a little bit more honest with them. And she discovers like she likes doing a lot of this kinky shit herself, but she's so awkward with it. It's a comedy. So she's trying all these new things that she hears about in her class. And she tries them with these men. And she has a lot of fun. It's very playful. And it looks like fun for the audience. Like, maybe we should try that. That doesn't look like it's so bad. And so I really want couples to see this, as well as single people, to have fun with it. But the main thing, that the message of the whole movie is that her being honest instead of trying to be somebody else, she has the other person be honest with her, and she realizes what intimacy actually is, and realizes that's what was missing from her marriage the whole 30 years. It's like her trying to please him and not show herself, even to her own self. So as she starts to be more comfortable with herself, and she starts to like herself, she's like, I would want to be her friend if I met her. She starts to become more confident in what she's telling the men. And throughout this whole movie, there's one man that she met that she was trying to drown out Edward with, and they just talk. They never meet. They're always texting or doing FaceTiming, but they have the most intimate conversations of all. And she creates all these great ideas with him about how they're going to have a 3-day love affair and go all in. And the actual script of it, they call it the fuck it list. And she keeps checking these things off with this other guy. And he never judges her. She'll tell him about all her escapades, never judges her. They have the most beautiful dialogue between them. And then she realizes the guy she thought she was in love with, it was just sex. It was just her acting out the bucket list with another guy. And what she really needed was the intimate conversation, not just the sex. So basically, the movie is like a Sex in the City with a 55-year-old Sandra Bullock-like actress, and a really wild redheaded mother who's encouraging her antics. And films like the Thought of You with Anne Hathaway and A Family Affair with Nicole Kidman are comps that are timely. And I don't know what else to say. She realizes that although she dates like a man, she loves like a woman. She loves all of the men a little bit, but one of them a lot.
Great. It sounds like a definitely fun and very personal story for you as well when you tell it.
Well, it's personal. I want to, I have this concept that I learned about this log line for you as a writer. And then also in the pitching, the people were saying that you got to make sure they are aware of why you should be the one to write the movie. And if it's a personal experience, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So my question is like, how do you do a 90-second or 3-minute pitch and include your personal log line, some comps, some actresses that would be good, and get the story in there? Mm-hmm. I just don't know how to do that. So as a producer, what do you want to hear?
I think there needs to be a little streamlining of it. I think at the beginning, you tell me up front that it's a feature. What you said at the beginning, when you said, it's a feature R-rated romantic comedy, feature. Say that's very short. And I think when you just go into describing it right away, you need the producer to understand what they're hearing. And
so it's okay to go like, just introduce myself and then say, that I have a feature that's called this, and it's based on my personal experience after a divorce. But this other screenwriting pitching coach said I was supposed to say, she said it's important to say that you're a family doctor and stuff like that.
That's
And I don't know
great
why
too.
that's
I think saying you're a family doctor definitely brings it in of and that you teach anthropology, because that is part of the story. Or
I don't teach it though. Instead of a doctor, she's an anthropologist.
Okay.
Whose confidence doesn't translate into a marriage.
Okay. Tony helped me with this too, but I definitely think starting it with, I'm a family doctor who's become a screenwriter, wanting to share their own personal story, because I really believe in a feature comedy, because I really believe that comedy can heal, and I use comedy in my life to heal. And my story is about da 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 da, and go with that. Like, kind of succinctly say that at the beginning, because you don't have long. If really it's a 3-minute pitch, you're having to cut almost 20 or half of it out of it almost.
Well, see, this is the problem. I pitched at Hollywood Pitch Fest, and I pitched like 3-minute pitches, and 5 people asked me for my screenplay, which is pretty good, I guess, out of like
great, yeah.
people. So I did say I'm a family doctor, because these pitching coaches, they all say different stuff. Totally. But I had to take what felt right for me. So for me, it was like, you know what? I'm a family doctor who believes in comedy. I actually prescribed it to patients when they were healing. And so when I had the darkest time of my own life, it was a natural for me to go back to comedy to help me. And so, I'm hoping that my own personal experience with being resurrected will help other patients. People who are going through dark divorces.
Marion, let me just because of the time, so it's at 9 minutes now. What I think you need to work through is just the consolidation of that personal brand pitch. And I loved when you said you're a born again cougar, sexually liberated, or something like that. Like, that is your personal brand right there. And then Stacy says in the chat about when you say you prescribe comedy to your patients, that's all you need. Hi, my name is Marion Wymore. I am whatever your log line is, I'm a resurrected or a born again cougar, sexually liberated woman who's a doctor who uses comedy, prescribes for healing in my work. I wrote this film, title of the film, which is very similar to Comps, and here it is. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
Sexually, what did you say? Sexually
liberated doctor.
Liberated. Okay.
Yes. And I like that, being able to do the title, which is like this and this. I think when you're telling the story part, you can do part of it. I mean, everybody wants to put too much of the summary, like summarizing too many details in the story. I think you need to just do the comps, tell a little bit about it, tell where the conflict is, say conflict happens or conflict ensues or the problem is and then wrap it. It's like a really short arc where you've got, and then you have to hone in at the end. I mean, that, you're going to have a minute to tell your summary, and that goes by so fast. That's like this much of a page if you're writing it, it's super.
Well, this was really helpful because I have to record it over and over and over today. And I think I'll be able to just keep making it shorter and shorter, because I notice when I do that, I keep noticing things that I didn't need to say, and it starts to naturally go down. But I like making like the bullet points, like just pull them out right now, and then try to make it like really compact, because that's the problem is when the one that I used for the Pitch Fest, I hadn't really put that much in about my brand. So I like it that I'm a born again cougar, because I did put that in at the last minute.
Yeah,
but maybe like that one sentence that Tony had, kind of, it told everything you took like 4 or 5 sentences to say. He was able to consolidate into like one sentence, and I think and it doesn't distract people. It focuses them in on what you are.
No, I like that. Thank you guys for helping me with that, because I just couldn't figure out how to incorporate it, and I love the idea of a branding at the beginning, and I'm like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
So thank you for that. That really
Good.
helps me a lot.
And and you did watch Tristan saying, but go back. You should have a nice, concise sentence. One sentence could be all that it is. And then if someone's like, they want to ask more about that, then you have it. But that's great. All right, cool. Time wise, I'm trying to let George back in. I resent him the email. I'm going into my settings. I don't know what it is. Why is the remove participant and the unpin so close to each other on this thing?
I think it's for in cases of emergencies that you really need to get somebody out. But yeah, you just have to change the setting to allow him back in first and then resend him the invite.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if you guys want to hear Tristan's line, but I have it here typed up. If you want
type it in the chat just for time
Okay.
wise.
No, I
do we
can
have
do that.
do we have 2 more people who want to do their 8 minutes? 2 more people, 2 more people. Stacy, all right. Who wants
to go?
You want to do you want to be the executive or you want to be the person?
The person.
Okay.
Is this a general meeting or a pitch?
Yeah, like a general meeting, or you could do a pitch, like Marion wanted to do a pitch specifically, but if you want to do a general, great. Who wants to be the general meeting opposite Stacy?
I can do that.
All right, Olga, let's go. And action.
Hello, Stacy. Good morning. How's it going today?
It's good, Olga. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining. And I've seen your action on Instagram as well. You have a lot going on, and I love that you write, direct, and produce K-12 films. So that's a huge brand that you put out there. Can you tell me more about your why? What is your main reason to do what you do?
Yes. So I was always bused to schools outside of my neighborhood from the age of 6 years old through high school. I lived in a Black middle class neighborhood, but even though it was middle class, the schools were not good. And so I always knew at an early age, 6 years old, that schools were different because I remember waking up and it being dark outside. I was the only one, getting ready for school in my neighborhood, but everyone else, all the other kids were asleep. And I was like, oh, schools are different. Like my home school was 5 minutes away. My grandmother was a teacher in segregated Virginia. And so my mom, when I was little, would tell me how her family was respected just for the simple fact that her mother was a teacher, my grandmother. So I always put teachers on a pedestal and I always thought they had such influence. And then I had issues in high school, or I noticed in middle school tracking, where students are placed into different classes based on perceived abilities. So at my schools, it was white and Asian students being placed into advanced placement and honors classes, and Black and Latino students being placed into lower track classes, and not the magnet either. So, and they were the majority of the school, Black and Latino students, but they weren't in the magnet classes. So yeah, I was discouraged by my high school counselor who left messages on my answering machine telling me not to apply to certain schools. So I just have a lot of experience. Wanted to become a teacher to try to change that. Started teaching in DC. It was horrible. So I was like, hey, this is not the teaching that my grandmother did in segregated Virginia. Like, what gives? So I have a long story. I taught abroad, taught across the US, and wrote a book about it. Suffered trauma. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Trauma is not a good thing to have, but it does drive us forward. It does give us this creative inspiration and the why, and pushes us outside comfort zone. And you mentioned something really beautiful, how you were able to see this differences and this inequalities and injustices since middle school. Is this when you really knew that this is what you wanted to do when you grow up, become involved in education and film and tell stories? Or did it even happen before then when you were going to school yourself as a kid? So when was your kind of moment of truth, like, this is what I want to do in life?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess maybe high school. Yeah.
Okay. And that's amazing. So even though some teachers who were kind of pulling you back were saying, don't do this, or trying to limit your growth, how did you overcome these obstacles? And was it motivation and fuel for you? Or did you feel like, I might just listen to them? Like, what was it difficult for you to fight adults' opinion, or did you know that this is what I want to do, this is what I need to do?
I knew this was what I needed to do, just because the inequalities I experienced and seen as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I overcame it, but working through the education system is yeah, it's a lot to process, and a lot for teachers that people don't realize what teachers working at these schools go
Mhm.
through.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. You're doing it. We're all working on our own traumas and issues. That's always work in progress. And we're almost out of time, but has been really interesting conversation. So please tell me about your film that you're doing right now, because it's all connected, it's all related, and you have so much to bring to the story. So what is the stage of the film, and what do you hope to achieve in the next couple of months?
Yes, so the film is called Mr. Advocate. It's a feature film about an elementary school teacher who gets in trouble for taking his students outside for afternoon recess, because at his school district, afternoon recess is not allowed. And this is a real thing where there is no afternoon recess. I know because it happened at my schools. And there are statistics that show a lot of schools with predominantly Black populations have less recess time. And so for me, it's like not giving children joy, because children need to play.
Mhm.
And it's very test focused, as you all know. So it's to highlight that we need a balance in schools, and that like Black children are children too.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And because we're almost out of time, as a closing statement, how can I help you, and how can anyone on this call maybe help you brainstorm, get an idea together, get something together? Like, what would be the most helpful to you at this stage?
yes, so I think it would be it's a good question. Uh, I don't know. No one's ever asked me for like help like that. Filmmaking it's a lot involved. So perhaps funding, resources for funding,
Makes sense.
producing
Indie film.
partners. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, everyone on the call, let's share resources if we have any connections, any partners, any sponsors, anyone who can help, especially if it's related to education and the children, and bringing people to the light. Thank you, Stacey. It was amazing to talk to you.
Thank you, Olga. Nice talking to you as well.
Thank you. I brought Gwen up really quick to say, Gwen, earlier we talked about things about insurance that Stacey recommended. So you should watch this video, because I know you're looking for that kind of stuff. And I'm making sure I don't now remove. I'm looking for remove pin. Okay. Good work, you two. You could tell, Olga, you're very articulate and organized with that little producer language. Like, okay, we're almost out of time, but tell me about your plans. And so you're very good at that kind of language, which is great. I actually really liked the last bit where you kind of you were like put off a little bit, Stacey. Like, oh my gosh, that question, it felt really genuine to me, and actually made me really endear to you a little bit, because you are such a, and we all, I mean, I know you, but not everybody on this, but you are always putting out and giving and serving and doing all these things. And to have that question asked of you, I think is really important. Like, you deserve that. You deserve to be helped and collaborated with. And the fact that you started off with this sense of your personal brand and mission and education is because you didn't feel, oops, I don't even know if you can see me right now. I just realized, because you didn't feel connected in the education system, and you felt ostracized. I thought that was a really interesting kind of point that stood out to me in your brand, is that you tell these stories because of what you wish you had. And that's powerful. That's a very powerful endearment to you as a storyteller. So keep doing that, keep using that. Obviously, even as Leah talked about last week, that's your whole thing: education and story and advocacy and race. I think all those things are really, really important. So that made me again feel something for you when she asked, how could we help you? It's like, well, I want to help her even more, because she's doing all this stuff. So I would just for all of us, this was the way I'll end the call today, is just thinking about, what do you think you need right now for your projects, and what do you want? I think we all need and want money, but I think sometimes those things are really important to have a response to, or just be thinking about. If someone were to ask me, what would I say? What do I need and what do I want? And maybe even as a practice this week, you could say to somebody, hey, can I just let you know I'm looking for workers' comp insurance, or hey, if you need to know, I just got workers' comp insurance. Because all of the things that we're doing as filmmakers can be helpful to other people too, you know? So that just, you know, as I listened to both of you, that this made me think, like, that is a hard question for some of us to answer when we're feeling like we're under resourced all the time. And that's that's that kind of challenge as a filmmaker. I need so much money. I need so much help. I want so much help, but verbalizing it, sometimes, I'll be honest, I feel like I'm like a little peasant with my hands out asking for crumbs. But we are so valuable in our stories. If we can keep that in mind and think about that, that'll really help us to live into who we should be, you know, and what we're supposed to be about. So I appreciate all of you for throwing yourself in the mix today, and I'm really bummed that I removed George. Apologies to George. I was working, I got the settings fixed on the other side, and for whatever reason I could not figure out why that will not come back. So I'm going to make sure he sees this and gets the follow-up video. But everybody else, thank you so much for being a part of this. If you have questions or needs or comments, please check the comments. I see people have said a lot of the different things in there that I might not have been able to miss or read out. If you have things you need, let me know. Email me, Tony@bravemaker.com. Don't forget, Friday night is our mixer at the coffee bar. Come ready to make some connections and find some collaborators and be curious, you know, practice these same things. Like, if you feel like you're ever stuck in a corner and you can't get out of a conversation, have a couple phrases that can get you out. I heard someone say, don't use the phrase, I'm going to go to the bathroom, because people will say, well, good, I'll wait for you, or I'll go with you. Be intentional to say, this is really great. Thanks for your time. You know, follow me on Instagram. I'm going to go meet somebody else because it's a mixer and I want to make sure I meet, you know, some new people. Have a real truthful way to get out, and don't just make an excuse like, I have to take a call because that person could be waiting right after the call, right? I think that's a good practice in being real and vulnerable too. People need to take a hint sometimes when the conversation is coming to an end. Any questions or follow-up that anybody has? I'll stay on. I know we're 5 minutes past, but please let me know. I got like 3 minutes. I have to record an audition, but if anybody has any questions or comments, let me know. Unmute now. Everybody else, we got to go. Thank you so much. Next week we have Julie Dove, who's an actor. Please look her up. She was in Lady in the Lake. She's on Days of Our Lives on Peacock. She is doing a lot of stuff. Mostly I see her on Twitter, but I think she's probably on Instagram too. Look her up. We also have the guy from Tubi that I met from the Women in Film pitch contest coming at the end of October. Kelly Brett is going to be here talking about Tubi originals at the end of October. Olga is doing all of the promotional stuff. So you're seeing all those things that are happening on our Instagram and in our emails too. So make sure you're checking out who is coming and following those people to engage. And don't forget, if you want to go to Sundance, let me know. I'm going, Marion's going, Olga's going. Who else is going? I think Ken Whittingham is coming. Priscilla is going. Eric Qualls is going. Angela Matimoto is going. So we still have some beds in our spaces. Let me know. All right. Thanks, everybody. What's up, Marion? Question?
Oh, I had a question. I put that the little bio of Tristan, and that was just him describing what he's known for. What words would you pull out of that if you were going to be like making that the laser version?
Well, for a written version, it's great, but potentially for a verbal, it's too long. You know,
right.
So your verbal should be 1 to 2 sentences.
So what would you pull out of his?
He might say, I'm a stoner playwright, TV writer that grew up in a fucked up military, Jesus-loving family, and I'm a sex worker that loves to tell stories about cynicism and romance.
Got it. You're good at that. Just summarizing it. I like yours. Can you do yours real quick?
I am an evangelical pastor turned progressive pastor filmmaker, dad of queer daughters who loves to tell stories that explore and poke religion with tender-hearted family drama and offbeat comedy.
Cool. It's good stuff.
All right. Good luck with your pitch, Marion. What's up, Gwen?
Hey, Tony. Sorry to be tragically late, but I will.
No worries. Yeah, make
I'll
sure you watch the video. Yeah.
I was going to ask you. So we had been talking about doing a table read next week, but it sounds like there's someone who's coming. So maybe I'll just organize a separate Zoom table read sometime. And
I don't think it was next week though. I think it was a different day. So I have you in the schedule that we talked about. Let me double check right now.
Yeah, I'll check it out. And the question actually that I was going to ask you about it, once I find the date, it'll be fine. But I think that Adrian and Sam were talking about maybe coming to that. Can they come as producers too?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You are on for the 30th. I was thinking next week was the 1st of October. So yes, Julie is coming on the first Monday of October. So you are on for the 30th.
Got it. Okay. All right, great.
Yep.
And either is fine. Awesome.
Yep. You're on for the
I'll tell
30th.
them that they can come and I'll get organized for that.
Okay. Sounds great.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Bye,
All
Marion.
right, thanks. See you Friday.
You got it.